Like, it's a very
It's
different
just gonna
beast.
eat a pretzel while you
Oh, yeah.
plug your shit in.
Get it in. So,
There's gonna be a really funny video of me like sneaking a pretzel in my mouth.
that's gonna be the intro. Muted while the thing plays. Just us like chomp chomp. We don't do that over here. I have really sick intro music that I let do the talking for me.
To be fair, it's pretty good. Although I will repeat myself. Why do I never wash my hair when I'm going to record the podcast?
But hey, Megan,
But
welcome back.
hey, thanks for having me.
How are you?
Pretty good. You know, it's a Monday, so this should be beer, but it is liquid death.
Today's my Saturday.
Oh, okay, so
I do Wednesday,
isn't that
Sundays now.
weird? Although you're probably settling into that. It doesn't feel as weird, I'm sure.
We'll see. I slept in late this morning. It was bizarre. I'm not a late sleeper.
Oh, yeah. No, you're not.
I'm a very early riser.
I'm surprised.
Everyone gets pissed off because like I get up and I start my day earlier than anyone else I know. Well, no,
Yeah.
other than like Jared and stuff, but I start my day earlier than anybody. So I'm like up and like texting people like my thoughts at 5 a.m.
Thankfully, I'm an hour early or hour later. I don't know how that works, but
No,
you're
you
an
get it
hour ahead
worse
of me.
because I'm sending it at 5, which means you get it at 4.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right. Wait, yeah, no, you're right.
I've thought about it.
Fuck, I thought it was the opposite.
I will
To be
wait.
fair, I put myself on Do Not Disturb until like 9.
I will literally
everyone.
wait though. Like I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh my God, I want to like if I wake up at 5 a.m. and I get super bored, I'll watch like Drag Race or something like that, or I'll watch something and I will have a thought and then I will wait until like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. to text somebody that thought because I feel so bad that I'm texting them so early.
You know, it's like not appropriate.
No, I know. I'm like,
can't.
I don't want that to be the first thing you see. Like, you don't need to know my thoughts on some like true crime
Dude.
documentary at 7 a.m. It's inappropriate.
I feel that though because like this has been a huge topic of discussion. It's pretty much since everyone went to working from home. I feel like I have no boundaries for people. Like, not even like, of course, I love you. You can text me whenever, but like, my mom's texting me at 8 a.m. My boss is texting me at 8 a.m. You know, like I'm getting notifications about packages that are, and I'm just like, I can't. Like, I'm just trying to get ready for the day. You know, like period. For anything.
Well, speaking of work, we'll segue into our first topic. We have a couple things that we want to discuss today, just casually and freely. So the first thing we're going to talk about is hustle culture at work.
I feel like it falls in line with exactly what I was talking about,
Yeah.
right? Like you have to be accessible. Maybe it's more so for anyone who doesn't know, I work in marketing. I'm a copywriter, and I don't know if it's just like my line of business and the advertising and marketing world that it feels like you have to be accessible at all times. You have to be able to pivot and oh crap, we need this to get done right now. It needed to be out yesterday, or oh my god, this email is going to go out, or this social post or whatever. It's like you have to be completely accessible at all times, which is probably different from how accessible you need to be, but probably equal, just different.
Well, it's interesting because like the way, so we know that I started a new job. After my second shift of my first week, I was saying goodbye to the general manager, like saying my goodbyes to everyone before I left. And we discussed me working a double on Saturday and me working a double on Sunday, which I offered to work. Like they turned around and they're like, if you want to, you can. And I was like, I would love to. Like, absolutely. I'd love to be here all day. That sounds like a fun time. After my second shift, they were like, we're lucky to have you. Like, we don't deserve you. And I think I might have sent you a Snapchat about this, but I was like, I haven't been complimented by management since I worked at the Beatrice.
Which is so crazy to me. It's funny because you did send me something and I was smiling when I saw it because I was like, damn, dude, like that's nice. Especially early on to like recognize that you've made a good hiring decision ultimately, because that's just gonna pay off tenfold for them by encouraging and saying like, hey, you know, this was great. Like, we're happy to have you. Yeah, I definitely feel that. It's actually funny because it's pretty similar to me. My current role is the first time I've ever, this is I got promoted like a couple months ago. No, I'm not that long ago. Whatever. First time I've ever gotten promoted in a job. And this is only the
That's
second place I've
exciting.
ever got. Thanks. It was pretty, yeah, I mean, I just got a senior title, which is cool, but I've never been, and even when places I was at for like more, 2+ years, never promoted. And this is only the
Yeah.
second place that ever gave me a raise, which is also crazy. Like, why have I been like sweating my ass off for like companies that are just like, yeah, like whatever, it's cool. We don't care.
Well, that's ultimately what led me to leave my last job. It's just like I'm busting my ass with literally zero
Hmm.
appreciation. You just like you have the thought where it's why am I busting my ass so that you can be successful while I'm getting what? I'm getting benefit. Like even you think that you get benefited by like your compensation, but like there has to be some kind of level of like growth or knowledge or learning. Like there has to be something else that you're getting that's like
Yeah,
more than monetary.
I agree completely. And it's interesting because in the marketing and advertising world, it's, oh, we have pool tables or foosball tables, or oh, we have
Hard
beer on
kombucha
tap.
on
And
tap.
yes, it's like that's not a selling point to me at this point in my life. Like, you put up or shut up. Extra PTO, right? Like, give me that shit. Like, I don't. I've worked too hard. I've come too far in my career to be like, we pay you, I guess, kind of. And you're like, all right, well, so could anyone else.
I have for me, so the industry that I work in, it is not common um, for people to get benefits.
Yeah.
Unless you're owned by a hospitality group that has like far too much money, and then usually you get benefits but you're treated really poorly, like there is a trade-off. I have health insurance, vision, and dental through my job for the first
Is
time in
this?
my career.
I was gonna ask you, is that for the first time
For
ever
the
in
very
your
first time in
career?
my career.
That's amazing.
And like I've had,
That's
so I
amazing.
was on my parents' insurance until I was 26, and then I spent the last year paying, like I was paying just the marketplace. Like I just
Yeah.
purchased insurance freely. And when I look at the benefits that I'm getting through work and then how much is coming out of my paycheck compared to how much I was paying for insurance out of pocket, I'm like, fuck you for not providing benefits. Like fuck off.
Yeah, I would love to, I mean, pick your brain on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Why is that when like the restaurant, food service, kind of I'll lump it all together, right?
Yeah.
When that industry is, first of all, thrives on people, right? That those restaurants and organizations are built on their servers and chefs' backs. So how can you not, like, why is that it's uncommon for them to provide that sort of benefit?
I honestly don't know. I worked, well, I guess so this is the first time that I've gotten benefits, but this I guess thinking about it now, this is not the first time that I've been offered. And I won't
Okay.
name the restaurant that offered it because there were other things that made this a bad, bad place to be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember when I was hired, the sous chef, yeah, it was okay. I won't name the restaurant, but basically, like, there was a very, crazy transition period. Maybe 2 weeks after I got hired right in the thick of like some real shit hitting the fan. So the people that
Okay.
hired me were pretty much out 2 weeks after I was hired. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
and the people that hired me said, like, we want 4-day weeks. Like, they're long days. Like, they are not an 8-hour shift, like, not your 9 to 5 typically. So it's a long day. We want you to do a 4-day week across the board for everybody, and then 3-day weekends because we know that not only are the days long and it's strenuous on your body, but like you need to have a life outside of here because if you like you said, like if you get burnt out, if you start to resent this place, if you start to do whatever, it affects your
Yeah.
performance at work. And it's an interesting industry because like if I personally feel like you can taste resentment and frustration in food. Like I think that you can tell when someone doesn't give a
I
fuck
bet that that's true.
about what you're making. Like I know that when I'm not into it, or if I'm like bored, or if I get home from work and I'm like really tired, I'm just throwing something together and it's not as good as it could be. I'm not paying as much attention to the detail because I don't care. And like that
Yeah.
reflects poorly on your restaurant. So you should want your cooks to give a shit about what they're doing because it's
Mm-hmm.
your name on the building. So
Yeah.
I don't get it. That's always been my mentality. And then in the
Yeah.
same vein, that's how I feel about management who like doesn't participate. Like I get it if you're an owner or management, you're the boss, like you shouldn't have to do it because you pay people to do it and like that mentality. But one of the hated this restaurant, but one of the coolest people that worked at this restaurant was a general manager who, when we were in the kitchen, we got fucking slammed. Like we were so in the shits, like
Oh,
so overwhelmed. The general manager, a front of house manager, put on a fucking apron and got into the kitchen and was like helping the salad station because she didn't know how to like cook any of the hot stuff, but she knew how to
yeah.
plate all the desserts. She knew how to plate all the salads and she like rolled up her sleeves and she got in the kitchen in her nice ass outfit, like her nice like general manager
That's
outfit,
amazing,
and
actually.
got in the fucking kitchen and cooked because she's like, this ship cannot go fucking down. It doesn't matter if it's
Yeah.
not my responsibility. The ship has to stay afloat, and I, as the captain of the ship right now, have to make sure that this shit get by whatever means necessary. You
Yeah. I
know?
mean, I give that person a lot of credit and a lot of respect because I think generally speaking, you feel like people ever like you expect everyone beneath you to be working harder or beneath you, maybe not even literally, but laterally or whatever.
Yeah.
Like work extra hard, hustle, right? Do the thing. But then like where are you at? You know? Like what are you doing? What and I understand what a GM does. I'm not stupid. I'm sure she had a lot going on that day. But it's
Right.
like, okay, but right now I need you to be like, if you really wanted to help, you'd be doing this, right? Like I've had leadership too where they're like, how can I help? Oh, what if I, paid for you guys to do this or go to this or and it's like, yeah, but what if you helped us train our project managers? Well, but what if I sent you to that wine and paint night instead? And I'm like,
Team building?
thank you. I mean, it's the kombucha on tap, baby. It's like, okay, like, you know, I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm giving 110% every day, It's also interesting too, because I feel like, and maybe I would guess it's similar in your industry as well, that um back when our parents and their parents were working a job, right? You would get your job, you'd work your job, and then you'd get promoted, and then your responsibilities would change, right?
Mhm.
Whether you were taking on more responsibilities or pivoting or whatever it may be, right? For our generation, and it's something Brian and I have talked about extensively, the expectation is that you do that job and then they give you the title. Like you have to prove that you're going to do it or that you're going to show up or whatever. And it's like, but you're not paying me for that, right? You're not, I'm still, I'm still just title X, but you want me to be, oh, that's a real thing. Title X, I don't know,
I
whatever.
kind of like it.
Anyway, I'm still just so and so, but you want me to be senior so and so, but you're not paying me for senior so and so work yet, but I'm expected to do it. Yeah,
Literally the last 2
exactly.
years of my life? Question mark. Are you?
Do
This
you
seems
feel
very
like the
pointed.
Do you feel like the restaurant industry or any of the wide range of people services type roles you've had, do you think that it's even worse that they like keep you on a string because there's no clear like career trajectory in a lot of those roles?
Well, trying to think how to say this tactfully, but I might not be able to.
Should we pivot?
No, this is fine. I don't mind. You are told basically that like you're so special and thank you so much, but not actually, but the undertone is also that you're incredibly replaceable. Like, don't call out because we
Mm,
need you, but like we'll fire you in a fucking second because there's so many people waiting to take your place.
that's interesting.
And I remember and it was a shitty situation because I had asked off. I had asked off because I wanted to go away for the weekend and I couldn't. Like I ended up not being able to because my boss was like, "No, like we have a party, like I can't spare the hands, like we have extra people coming in, like whatever." And I ended up getting sick. Like I ended up getting food poisoning and I remember calling and having to have a conversation with the sous chef who not only was guy that I really didn't fucking like, but like I just,
Yeah.
and I had to tell him like, yeah, I have food poisoning. Like I am sick. And he literally on the phone is like, are you shitting your pants? I was like, I will be if you make me stand up all fucking night. Like I'm not coming in. Like I'm not going to be there. And you can tell me how much you need me all you want, but like I understand that there's a level of like integrity and like wanting to be
Yeah.
professional, but at the same time, like if I have food poisoning or the flu or what the fuck ever, I'm not coming to my job. I cannot physically do my
Yeah.
job.
It's interesting though, because this is something that is, I think COVID will change forever. I don't think people will go back to you're sick, please come in. I don't think, at least not
I
for
hope
a
they
very
don't.
long time. And will we see people like if they have to go into an office like wearing a mask, or have to go into a place of service or whatever it may be, wearing a mask if they're, oh, even though it's just a cold or whatever. It's like, yeah, there, that is one that I can't get. I've had multiple roles where I had unlimited PTO and it would still be like, oh, but like, are you sure? Like, oh, like, well, could you just do Friday instead of Thursday and Friday? And it's like, I'm not a brain surgeon. Like, there's nothing I'm doing that's that dire. You too?
I vividly remember, well, one of like the last things that happened at my last job, like pretty much the last thing that made me kind of like throw my fucking hands in the air and say fuck it
Hmm.
is
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's certain things where at my big age I will no longer tolerate, and I mean, some of them are probably, I'm probably semi-tolerating them now, but like one is like task organization and project management. Like, you want me to get things done. I am but a mere mortal human. If you don't give me a resource, whether it's a project management tool or whatever it may be, and tell me, hey, this is what needs to get done by this date, it's not going to happen. I cannot juggle everything in the universe as like one of very few writers on a brand, right? So even now, like if stuff's like pops up and someone's like, oh, this needs to get done, put it in the project management tool. I don't care. I don't care, because it would not like, there's just a 0% chance I would be efficient, or that I would like remember
see that's like
anything.
I I liked it because I'm good at that. Like I'm good at task management and I'm good at like organization, like organizing my time. Like when I was in culinary school, we would have finals and I they'd be timed and like you would have to do like a
Hmm.
certain number of things. I
Oh,
very legitimately used to type up like if you start like when we would do a project, I'd be like, okay, so like the first thing that you have to do is like fillet your fish. So like filleting your fish has to be first. Once that's done, put it on ice. Like then the next thing you have to do is you have to start making this. And like I would write up a time list and how long each thing would take and the proper. And when I say proper, like obviously there's room for flexibility, but like maximum efficiency, like proper order to get these things done, to get it done in the
yeah.
first amount of time. And I used to email it out to the people in my culinary school class. Like I used to like write one up and then I used to email it to everybody. And that would be like our cheat sheet, like our study guide.
Yeah, that's kind of
And there
awesome.
was one time that I accidentally CC'd my chef. But like he said I was right. He like gave me a pat on the back and he's like, that's how I would do it. Like it's like
That's pretty cool, actually.
I've always been really, really good at that. That's always been like a strength of mine. And what makes me such a good
Yeah.
line cook is because I'm really good at saying,
Mhm.
like, that's going to take 3 minutes. So that has to go first. If that's going to be done at the same time as this.
Yeah.
So when I was given that freedom, I excelled at it, but it made me realize how shitty it had been done before that. And I used to be able to get shit done in a third of the time because I was working 5 projects at once because this is going to take 30 minutes to get to the grinder. So while that's in the grinder, I'm going to make the brine so that that's cooling down while I do this. So that's got to be, like that type of stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, that to me is like even in my role, trying to make comparisons,
No, yeah.
I would do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm waiting on this to come back from a designer. I'm gonna work on this other copy deck I do tomorrow, or I'm proofing this, so then I know that this is gonna take me X amount of hours, and being able to like shift your schedule around. Totally agree. To me, it's the um everything like the responsibility of it all falls on you, but no one's doing their part to make sure that you have, like, you're not set up to succeed when you don't have a accurate
Oh,
project management tool or a
oh
list
no,
somewhere or
I get it.
anything, you know?
I'm saying that the only reason I was successful is because I just like my mind happens to work that way. But like
Yeah.
the same type of thing, like if I wasn't so like that woman in that meme with the numbers all the time,
Yeah.
like that's me 24/7. If that
Yeah.
if that's
Is that
not
just
what I look
anxiety
like,
or
I would fall it apart. I'd be like, what am I supposed to do with this?
yeah.
Like if you need it
No.
done. But then I would go into work and then I'd be told like, okay, so now that you're here, like this needs to be your priority. And I'm like, okay, well that kind of like fucks with my whole day because like I made this whole plan to streamline and like be efficient and now you're fucking it up for me, man.
Yeah. I mean, fuck, dude. Wild.
And like you
Yeah,
don't
I'm
want to think
I'm
that you're
glad you're
smarter
not
than
there
people,
anymore.
but you're like you're overcomplicating things. Like it really doesn't need to be
Yeah.
this difficult.
Yeah. I'm glad you're not there anymore. Let's put it that way.
Dude, me
I know you were
too.
very unhappy.
I was born to tell people what to
Ultimately.
do. I was born to do it. And like
That's actually really funny.
but like that so that's kind of what my job is now. Like when we're talking about like task management and stuff, like that's what my job is. And
I mean, I could definitely see you being the boss for sure. We're not
I'm
bossy, we're independent,
really good at it.
strong-willed.
Literally though.
It's funny.
Anyway, so what other thoughts do we have on hustle culture? My closing thought, I think, is that like you're no good for anybody or anything if you're not 100%. Like no boss should want an employee that's like running on half a battery, and like
Yep.
if you're no good for anyone if you're not good. So
Yep.
you yourself should be your priority always.
Yeah. That
Always.
sums it up for me too. I think, you have to find a good level of boundaries and balance for you. Everyone's different, but I mean, you're right. No one's going to get your best work. And despite what we may have been told from people like Rachel Hollis or whoever, like you got to show up for you first. And um, every good leader and
Yeah.
good brand and company will appreciate it. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, think about how
Boom.
often like politicians go golfing and stuff. Like self-care is so important.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. As
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
when can I take PTO?
I remember like getting sick and then someone reminding me that I had sick days and I was like, "Oh. Oh. I forgot that those even
Oh,
exist."
yeah, it's kind of nice. We had a contractor who just converted to full time, and so when you're a contractor, you don't get PTO. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, they work through an agency, and you could tell he was like kind of excited. He's like, "Oh yeah, I get PTO now, and all the benefits and good stuff. Go somewhere fun, man."
Benefits. I'm
know.
so jealous. I didn't realize that this is how the other half has been living this whole time.
You
Well, nice
got a
with benefits.
401k match too,
Yeah,
or what?
I think so.
Do you really?
I
Start
think I do.
contributing.
So
That's my one regret. I definitely should have started contributing younger. I just didn't make enough money to, honestly.
and this is a pet peeve of mine that we should talk about this. This should be a second. We'll segue into this topic and then we'll segue into this topic. I fucking hate when people waste my time. And if you know that I am going to be at your house at 2:45, tell me what is possessing you to lay down for a nap at 2:15. But I just hate when people do that, period. And like
I was gonna say
this happens.
You have a friend. I don't know if I don't know. We won't even conclude this, but this friend will keep you waiting everywhere you go together.
Forever, for like
And
hours.
you will text me with like screenshots or like with timestamps, and you'll be like, we were supposed to meet at 2 and it's like 2:45, and then it'll be like 3:17, and then it'll be like 3:59 and she shows up and you're like, what the fuck?
Or like, yeah, like a book. We'll use a hypothetical book club, right? And we'll say that we knew 2 weeks prior let's say we meet bi-weekly for this book club.
Oh yeah, a bi-weekly book club. Okay.
Bi-weekly book club. You know that we have to read this book, and we will be meeting in 2 weeks. And we will be meeting
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock. I'm going to be making a nice fucking dinner. I'm going to open a bottle of wine. Like, you have 2
And I
weeks.
know what we're discussing at that time.
You're prepared. Or no, you're not prepared, but I've set you up with all the tools so you can be prepared. And then
Theoretically, yes.
and then it's 6:30 on the day we're supposed to meet at 7. 2 weeks has passed. It's now 6:30. We're supposed to meet at 7. I've got a fucking roast in the oven. My wine is decanting. I'm prepared for you to come over and discuss this book. And then you tell me, like, I'm running a little bit late. Like, I'll be leaving soon, but, like, I have to read the book really fast. Bitch, you had 2 fucking weeks, and I planned this dinner for 7.
These hands. Catch these hands. Catch these hands.
Like, do you mind if we push this back to, like, 9 or something? Because, like, I had 2 weeks, but I just, like, never read the book. And I know you've been cooking all day, but, like, do you mind, like, changing?
But, like, could you just summarize the book? Could you read the book to me instead?
That was pointless. I know you already read the book, but would you mind reading it again for me, though, this time?
Yeah. I know you're busy, but I didn't get a chance to do it. Actually, I'm going to take a nap. Can you osmosis it into my brain?
Yeah, I'll fucking hit you in the face with it like 8 times. We'll see if it sticks. Speaking of the word osmosis, God. Osmosis Jones is the most underrated movie of all time.
You know what? It's classic. It's classic.
I bought it when I was out in Colorado.
Did you really?
I bought it. I tried
Wait, that recently? Like,
yeah.
This came up?
Yeah. No, I love it. I think about, we are all over the place today, and I don't even care. That's how I view what happened.
We were going to have structure, and we didn't have structure.
No, thank you. No, that's what I imagine. Like, when I see, like, a pimple with a white head, I know that that's a club, and I know it's, like, up and poppin'. Like,
No.
Like, I know that that's where all the germs are congregating to, like, get it, you know?
Do you think, is it on a streaming service? Could I watch it?
No, that's why I had to buy it.
No, okay. Which Brian and I just went through all of he, like, is one of those people who buys movies all the time and forever. He always has. And we had, like, hundreds. And I was like, you need to purge some of these. Because when's the last time we watched a DVD or physical movie instead of just going on a streaming service? But we refuse to get rid of streaming services, all of them.
Paramount Plus?
That's why. No, that's the only one we don't have. Okay, fine.
Do you want? I'll give you my login.
There you go.
It's just me and Jared. I'll make you guys a profile tonight.
What's on it? Like, what
everything. Jared and
Paramount Plus.
Jared and I were watching Next.
Like, yes. The MTV show Next?
Yes, and Parental Control.
Oh my God, yes. I'm in.
I've been heavy watching the challenges lately. Like the show The Challenge. I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I got very emotional.
You like reality TV, man.
Far too much. Honestly, because, like, I know that it's fake and I know it's scripted, but sometimes I find the absurdity of, like, writing to be so much more unrealistic that I'm just like we've talked about the fact that I'm like, no, like, just tell your parents that you killed somebody on accident. Like, you're 14, like, you can't handle
it. Yeah, like, if you just asked your mom for help, like, this would all be okay.
Like, literally the fucking plot of Riverdale. I'm like, just tell an adult.
Except we were just talking about the whole season where the mom joined a cult. And you were like, oh, okay, well, maybe you can't tell your mom.
That was frustrating in and of itself, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, Betty, bitch, just leave. Like, just fucking leave.
Betty, she's always wilding out. I love her, though. Lily Reinhart.
I do love her. I actually didn't know. I went to the bookstore recently, and I got a stack of books. I spent an absurd amount of money at Barnes & Noble, like, a week ago. And apparently Lily Reinhart has a book of poetry.
I picked it up. I haven't read it yet, but I did pick it up. I like her. I want to support. Yeah, maybe I'll just send it to you when I'm done. I love her. I just want to support her.
So, given that you love Lily Reinhart, I want to ask you a question, because this is something that I picked up. I've only watched Riverdale like once. Like I saw it was like when quarantine started and I was looking for something to watch. It was like on Netflix or
Okay.
whatever. So I started watching it. And the second that I saw Lily Reinhart act, because I've seen her face, I've seen her in pictures, and I think she's super, super beautiful. But I had never seen her like we've talked about how I have a thing about mouth movements, right? And like facial movements. Lily Reinhart is Joan Cusack.
Okay. Okay.
If
Now
you
I need to like watch some like film back like next to each other, but I I get what you're saying.
if you go and you watch Joan, I'm trying to think of like an iconic because like her in 16
Yeah.
Candles is iconic, but like there's not enough of dialogue for you to get what I'm saying. But like
Yeah.
if you were to watch Joan Cusack acting in any scene and then go back and watch Lily Reinhart, like they have the same fucking face and they have the same facial movements, and it tripped me up from the first
Interesting.
second that I saw her.
Okay. I'm gonna have to do some watching.
You must.
She posts all the time that she gets Brittany Murphy
I know, and
all the time.
I saw that I think on like a Reddit or something. I can't remember, but like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's like, "Oh my god, no, I think she looks like Brittany Murphy," and I'm like, I don't. If you put them side by side, I can see similarities, but I see
Yeah.
similarities with the way that like I'm his last name is escaping me, but Nick from New Girl looks like Bernard from the Santa Claus. Like that's how I view Brittany Murphy and Lily Reinhart. But like she
Yeah.
is Joan Cusack.
Also Bernard from
But you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? For the longest
I
time,
do know what you're talking
I
about. I
thought that
do. I'm not.
the actor that plays Bernard, I can't his name is escaping me too, but like I thought that he was the guy from Tag for the longest time. Like my dad and I got into a fight about it.
Oh my God. I don't think the kid who played Bernard did anything after that.
He was in that show where he was like a mathematician. I think it was like Numbers, the show Numbers.
Yeah, I never watched it. He
Oh,
was in
it was
that
pretty
show.
good. It was all right. He was like the star
Interesting.
of that
Okay.
show.
Okay. That's very,
But
very
yeah,
interesting.
I
No.
genuinely thought
We
anyway, yeah.
Joan Cusack, all right. Lily
Well,
Reinhardt, if you ever listen to this podcast,
I will
can you
defend that.
imagine
I
if
would
she like
die on that fucking
responded?
hill. I would die on that hill. I'm telling you. I could do like that face app thing where you like put the faces.
I
She does that thing with her mouth. You'll see.
She does the thing with her mouth.
You'll
That's
see.
I get what you're saying. I'm gonna have to watch some clips though, because I mean, Joan Cusack is not a person I could easily like recall, but I do know what you mean.
It's gonna be incredible. When you see it, you're gonna be like, oh.
We get an email from Lily Reinhardt's people. Do not disclose this information. She is actually a clone.
Oh god, so funny. I can't wait
Yeah,
for you to see it. I'm gonna harass you about it. I'm gonna be like, did
yeah,
you
I'm
check it
gonna
out
look it
yet?
up after
Did you
this.
check it out yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up after this. Um, I feel like we've been doing a good job this time of like ending. Like that was like a clear end of that segment. Where you can like easily as opposed to our last time where it was like
So, what do you
all
want to talk
over
about
the place.
now? Well, I know what I
We were
want.
just rambling last time.
And I'm down with it. I think I'm like a good rambler. I know it's a weird skill to have.
Yeah.
I think I'm frustrating sometimes because I do tend to stop myself in like the middle of a sentence and start a totally new story with the intention of getting back, but then that story makes me think of something else and then,
I will say, like, listening back to podcasts, you like learn what you do that's maybe not good for podcasting. So then you like every time you get like better. At least for me, because I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. That was annoying. Or like, oh we
I'm
pivoted
also
or whatever.
yeah, I'm also trying to get really good about like editing and like making it kind of seamless. Like I've been getting better about it.
Yeah.
There really wasn't that much to edit out of our last
Mm-mm.
one.
You left stuff in. I thought you wouldn't leave in though.
It felt
The part
saucy.
about she was trying to fuck my boyfriend. I laughed so hard
For,
listening to that.
for the listeners, you'll never I can't tell people why it's so funny. Like I can't disclose why it's so funny because like I don't want to do that, but like
No. Just
they
trust us.
shouldn't be
It's hilarious.
fucking, guys, for more than one reason.
Yeah, more than 10 reasons.
Like, it's the fact that she
Anywho.
wanted to fuck him was disturbing on levels that I can't disclose
Yeah,
here.
you can really dig into that one. So,
Let your
whatever.
imaginations run. I'm sure you can think of something that's close, if not it. So,
It's freaking hilarious.
yeah.
But I will say I'm not a huge podcast listener in general. I mean, I listen to some, mostly like thematics. I listen to this, obviously. But we have recently started, we actually watch them on YouTube because they're way funnier. But Tiny
I
Meat
agree.
Gang, do you love Tiny Meat Gang? Have
No,
you
but I
watched
like the way
them?
it sounds.
They were two guys that were like on Vine that but they are so hilarious and I feel like
Wait, who is
it
it?
it's Noel Miller and Cody Ko.
I know who. Okay. I do know what
They're
podcast you're talking
YouTubers too, I
about.
guess.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what podcast you're talking about, and I saw an episode. I saw a clip of an episode recently where they were talking about David Dobrik.
Yes.
Yes.
And they yeah, they're just really funny and I feel like that's the energy I want to bring into our podcasting future
Fuck yeah.
in the Megan episodes, which we should name.
I want
So,
a nice little segment name for it.
yeah, I'll think of something.
It's so hard
See, I need,
because
it is hard.
I'm not creative.
I mean, it's easy to do a more pun. Could always go with a more pun.
Okay, more pun. I don't know if this is like this when you were in high school, because maybe this is like a cultural thing. Because I remember,
East Coast and Midwest, I would go hang out with my cousin from her high school, and it was night and day different. So tell me.
the biggest indicator, the most obvious thing that I can remember of like that being made obvious to me, I guess, is the feathers in the hair. Because I remember when it was trendy here, and like everyone had like the feathers in their hair back when like Kesha was popular or whatever, and like then it no longer was trendy, and then I went to college, and almost everyone at Mizzou had feathers in their
Was
hair,
doing
and I'm
it
sitting there
again.
and I'm like, y'all are still rocking with it, and I wasn't trying to be like pretentious, but I was like, did this not
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
and go already?
Yeah. I remember my cousin and all her friends, all a couple of Long Island broads, would do the Snooki bump, but with a like a
Like
monster
it.
clip. Is that what they call it?
Yep, I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking
And
about.
just, but it would be like sloppy and messy, like whereas Midwest bitches, we would pin that shit in place with bobby pins. But yeah,
My
she would just
friend
throw it up
Brittany,
like her nasty little. Ooh.
my friend
Brittany.
Brittany did that. So she I was from Staten Island or Long Island. I can't remember. She like moved here in like 7th grade, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to always have like, it was like those square clips with like the thing and the whatever, but like it would always look so good. She had the most beautiful fucking hair that she would sit there and like would just grab it and clip it, and it would be the most flawless, like shiny, sleek bump with she.
Unfair.
No one did it well but Brittany. Like when I think of people that did like the bump with the monster clip, I very specifically think of my friend Brittany, because I'm like, that was the
So she was
epitome of it.
cool though.
She was cool.
Yeah.
Especially because like she was
Yeah.
new and from New York, and like everyone from New Jersey wants to pretend that they're from New York, which is like a whole other fucking thing. I have a friend
Yeah.
who lives out of state now. We went to high school together, and she lives out of state. There's something very obvious to me, and I think I recognize it, because I think that in a way I wasn't guilty of it in this way, but I was guilty of like the same principle where like you meet your friends at college and then you go back home, and like you want your friends from college to think that home is a certain way, but like the people from home are like, maybe not. Like, we know you're not from Brooklyn, but you want all of your friends in like Montana to think that you're from Brooklyn.
Yep.
And so when you come
Mhm.
back to New Jersey, you always make a point to go to the city and be like, that's where you take your I'm home picture, is like in New York, and we're all sitting here in Central Jersey, like,
Are you though?
sort of. It's like, I mean,
Close enough.
it's a little more like obvious when you think about how many people told me that they were from Chicago that were from the surrounding suburbs. I know where Naperville
Yeah.
is, ma'am. You can tell me that you're from Naperville. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But when you first go away to school,
Oh no, I know.
and you're
I
somewhere
know.
like Mizzou, it does make sense because you'd be
Right.
like,
Well, because that's like
I
people that say they're from St. Louis, but they're from like that.
I remember meeting a girl in my dorm and her being like, "Oh yeah, where are you from?" And she's like, "Chicago." I'm like, "Oh yeah, me too, but where are you from?" "Oh, it's Naperville." "Oh, me too. Where'd you go to high school?" And she went to Nico and I went to Wabanzi. I was like, we
And you
both
had
like
those like
came up in here.
rivals, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
And that happened with my high school boyfriend who went to Mizzou. And my sister went to the other high school, the third high school,
Yes.
Matia.
Okay. Okay.
So
Now it all makes
yeah.
sense.
No. But she went to like a thing her senior year, our senior year, where it was called Frontier. It was like they structured it like college scheduling. So you had like AB schedules and it was like Nikwa and Wabanzi kids were all there. So she like acted like she was fucking cool and shit, but you know. But yeah, that's the college story, right? Where people are acting like they're from somewhere cooler than they actually are.
Well, here's a good one in like the same vein, but like even funnier to me. I similar type of sense, like someone moved away, made new friends, right? But would come home and like we lived in the same neighborhood. And you've never been to my old house. Like you've never seen the house that I grew up in. But the way that the neighborhood was set
Mm-hmm.
up is that all of the houses were like pretty good size. Like imagine like his house, like the house they grew up in, right?
Okay.
That was like the small size house in this
Yeah.
development. And then there was like a step up, which is like the medium size, which is like maybe like 50% larger than that. And
Yeah.
then you had like the big side, which was like 3 times larger than like the medium. So it like went up in scale the further you drove into the neighborhood.
Okay.
I went to high school with a girl who lived like on the smaller side. And when I say smaller side, like his house, like that's still a very nice
Nice house.
house, right?
Yeah.
But they were like the smaller of this specific development. And she grew up in the smaller ones. I grew up in the medium ones. And like the massive ones were just like so insanely McMansion, massive size, like crazy. She moved
Mm-hmm.
away. And I remember talking to somebody about this. She came home and posted a picture of her driving through like Instagram story, like out the window of the big ass fucking houses. And she's like so happy to be home. And I'm like, sure, because you do
Yeah.
indeed live in this development. You're clearly in the
Yeah.
same township,
You're
like,
you're not wrong,
but
but you're not right
but
either.
it seems awfully convenient that you waited until you were in a house like like you know what I mean? Like it seems like a little like you're
Yeah.
trying to show out when you are indeed subconsciously or consciously implying that that house is your home and it was
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. I can't say I've ever been tempted to do that, but although that's kind of a segue into our next topic, isn't it?
I was gonna say that. I was like, this is actually kind of perfect. Like putting on a front on social media is like the
Yeah,
perfect segue
dude.
into our next topic.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I've
Look
been
at how
talking
good.
I've been talking about this. Yeah, that was actually really good. I've been talking about this a lot in general, but in therapy and shit too. It's like I and it's something I need to work on personally. Like I feel like I say it all the time. If you meet me, you know me. Like I'm like open book, like I'm this as much as we were
For
saying, no
sure.
one knows the same version of you. Like I show up this way everywhere I go, right? Work, and even though, maybe slightly more professional or whatever. I mean, I did wear this at work today, but like I believe in authenticity, right? And so I've never been tempted to make my life look different online. I mean, obviously you post like good moments and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
I don't if I'm going through some shit, I'm just gonna go quiet on social. I'm not gonna like post like look at how happy I am when really
Yes.
I'm not having a good time. And yeah, and I get bummed out that people like that I know personally don't also do the same thing. And Brian's always like, you expect people to act the way you act, and so it hurts you or it upsets you. And I'm like, yes, I do, and I need to work on that. But it does irk me a little bit when people are like, you talk to your friend or even a friend of a friend, and they're like, it's a shit show. I'm having a bad time, or work sucks, or I'm depressed, or I'm this or I'm that, but then it's like every day on social media, there you are acting like things are great, and you're not having a bad time. It's just like, it's disheartening because I feel like just be yourself. That sounds stupid.
I agree. I don't think it
It
does.
doesn't
I think
feel.
that I mean, I feel like what I'm about to say applies more to real life, but it still applies to like social media and virtually and stuff, but like not being yourself or like not being the most authentic. We're ever changing creatures, right? We discussed the
Yeah.
time that we podcasted, like I feel like I've been like 5 different people in my lifetime already,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
And like
And I know exactly how you feel.
yeah, and like you're constantly developing and like you're constantly changing and stuff, but you can still be authentic like in those moments. Like you can still like live. I hate this phrase. I don't know why I hate this phrase, but I hate it. But like you can like live your truth in whichever way is true for you in any given moment. But it's like I firmly believe, and I can't remember who said this. I want to say it was Bob the Drag Queen, actually, which is where I get this from. But it's like
Yeah.
if you're not being yourself and like you're not being the most authentic version of yourself that you can be in any given moment, you're not only doing like yourself a disservice because you're not comfortable, you're not like you are lying to yourself in a way. So not only are you doing yourself a disservice, but like you are
Mhm.
robbing people, like you are taking away the opportunity for people to know you. Like you
Yeah.
are robbing, and I had this
That's
conversation about my family,
yes.
is like I feel like the black sheep of my family. I've always felt like the black sheep of my family. And like
Mhm.
whether they appreciate certain sides of my personality or not is not of my concern, but like if they love those sides of my personality that I was like thinking they might hate, like I have robbed them of the experience of getting to know me in for all of my glory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think
No,
that
I completely agree.
yeah. And I think so much of that happens on social media too, where it's like you think that you know what people want to see, and it's this weird form of arrogance. Like the layers to this are fucking incredible,
I
but like
know. We can dig all day.
there's a layer of arrogance of, and not you, but like the hypothetical you, of you deciding that you think that you know what I want to see from you. Like you think that I want to see you in a bikini,
Mhm.
and I'm sure you look fucking hot. I'm sure you look great. But like I do want to see you like cuddled up with your dog. You know what I mean? Like I would also love to see
Yeah.
you in fucking sweatpants and like looking like you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I think that there's just so much to that. Like, I feel like the the greatest joy I found in my life is when I just started to be who I am and own that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been me, but there have been, certain people got, you know, maybe not certain people, but, the comfort level, right? Like,
Yeah,
but I feel like if you're willing to, like, it sounds like it's like a hardship. If you're willing to follow me on social media, like, you probably are at least to some degree invested in who I am, like, truly who I
for
am,
sure.
Like, get a little fucking weird, dude. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with it. It's so, yeah, you're spot on when you say, like, depriving people of knowing you, because I feel like I I want it all. Like, if I love somebody and care about them, or even if I'm like just friends with them and I don't know you that well, like, I want it
Yeah.
all. Like, tell me the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, what's the point? What's the point otherwise? I'm
I
sure your pretty pictures are great, but
want to see something real. And
yeah.
especially when we talk about pretty pictures, like I don't give a fuck about pretty pictures. And so I'm a big a different friend Brittany, but a friend Brittany, my friend Brittany and I talk all the time. She's a trainer. She was my trainer for a while.
Mhm.
And a good friend of mine since high school. And we talk all the time about like people who are involved in the fitness community online and how often and how obvious some of their photo editing is, like, and to the point where we will send each other screenshots like semi frequently. And there was one day where she sent me a picture of a fitness influencer, and she was like, something's wrong with this picture but I can't find it. And like we're usually really good about like spotting the curvy walls or like the grains in the
Yeah.
floor, like we
Yeah.
notice when you blur out the background and we know why you do that. Like it's, you know what I mean, like you're not fooling anybody, or at least I mean you're not fooling us, you
Mhm.
probably are fooling a lot of people, but I
A lot of
digress.
people. That's the sad part.
Right.
That's the really sad part.
Well, that's what I find disheartening is like how many people buy it. Like the number of people that I find that are like complimenting. Never mind, we'll get there. We'll get there. But there was one time that like on iPhones and like on phones now, there's the ruler tool. So when you take a screenshot, you can actually pull up a ruler, which was by default a straight line. And I literally pulled up the ruler and I like matched it to a floorboard and I like showed her or like to a railing or something that like was in front of and behind. And you could see when it's like the ruler's up against it that it clearly was no longer in the straight line that it should have been. And like so like I care very much. I care far too much. Like I get kind of
Yeah.
crazy about it.
But I do too though, because I think I've thought about this with myself too, like, oh yeah, I could, pinch a little here or oh fix that or this or oh whiten your teeth or oh fix your acne or whatever. But like it would absolutely break my heart if I thought that there was someone who saw a picture of me and thought like it was unobtainable, not that I'm like some fitness influencer, but you know what I mean, that they thought I was like perfect or that I was too like I would never want to misrepresent who I am or what I look like to anyone, but especially not on the internet. Like the thought of going through that effort, that's where I really like have a hard time with like there's impressionable people, young and
Well, that's
old,
like what I don't
that will see that.
understand. Like we know there are many like instances of really famous and like well-known people doing this, right? And like I do want to talk about Khloe Kardashian specifically. But
Yes. Yeah.
it's crazy when it happens like to people because you think about the fact that like keeping it full circle, like there are people that see Khloe in real life. Like there are people that know what Khloe looks like. There are people that know
Yeah.
what anyone who edits their pictures, like there are people that know you in
Yeah.
real life. I have a friend who is I'll cut her name out. It is
In real life.
inexplicable how insanely good looking she is. Like I remember the
Yeah.
day I met her and being like,
Yeah.
okay, like face, body, everything, like crazy. And I noticed that like she had a new profile picture on Instagram because I saw it like on her stories and she's fucking gorgeous and I love looking at her and she's so sweet. So like you want to just be I was like, "Oh my god, like more of her in my life. Like let me look at her pictures." I go over to her
Yeah.
Instagram and I like look at this picture. I like find it on the grid and I'm like looking at it and it takes me a second, but I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, like bitch, this is not your face. This is not your face." And it like destroyed me inside because I'm like,
That's so sad.
your actual face is
Perfection.
virtually flawless. Like I
Yeah.
actually don't understand. And that's what's crazy is because I get it. Like if you see a cute ass picture of yourself and you yourself are distracted by like a big ass red zit on your cheek, get rid of it. I don't fucking care. Like
Yeah.
acne is
Yeah.
fine. Like
For sure.
but if it's like one crazy like distracting blemish, like fine, get the.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
incredibly guilty of overusing the blur tool on Picnic back in like 2011. Like I know this, you know what I mean? Like I
You just
know,
really brought me back.
but I know I was a heavy user because I was so like, oh my god, I look horrendous in every picture. So let me blur myself to oblivion so no one can tell. But now you can tell that I'm blurred to oblivion because I look like shit. Anyway, I digress. Um, so I understand like the minor tweaks, like you said about like the teeth whitening or like the pimple or like
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But when you actually go in and you start changing like the shape of your shit, like that
Yeah.
is a whole other level of like I actually don't know what you're thinking because like that is I
There are real people who know that that's not what you look like. There's a girl I went to high school with too who like she kind of does the whole like self-acceptance, body positive thing a little bit here and there. She's a curvy girl. She looks good. I mean, she's cute. She was cute in high school. She's cute now.
yeah.
Um, but she literally in the last 5 years has not posted a single picture of herself where she doesn't have like a Snapchat filter on her face. I'm not exaggerating. Every single profile picture is like the big eye one or whatever. And it's like you think it's just subtle enough that no one would notice, but like we know and people know what you really look like. Like why, but on the same hand, why are you don't need to tell me that you love yourself and that you think you look good. And then on the same and then also edit the shit out of yourself. Like you could just like you don't have to have ugh, I don't know. I don't know the right way to say that is like don't don't say anything about self-acceptance or body positivity or self-love or whatever, then just admit that you're
Whoa.
like Khloe Kardashian. Just admit that you're someone who absolutely does not let an unfiltered image of yourself go anywhere, you know? Like you don't have to do both. Just admit that you're this person, you know? That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's a principle thing.
And
Like,
own
it's
it.
like, I mean, to not to really relate it to, like, I told you I was watching the challenge, but like when I was watching one today where they were doing a challenge and like the guy was trying to throw the challenge for his team and people could tell on the sideline that he was trying to throw the challenge and they're like, just drop or compete, but stop faking it. Like, we all can see that you're throwing it on purpose, so can you just de-chew
Yeah.
yourself or something? Like, you're wasting our
Yeah.
time now, like fake struggling on the rings. Like, just either do it or don't, kind of.
Yeah.
But so, what distresses me about the Khloe thing specifically, because like, okay, you're insecure. I feel that on a spiritual level, and it's fine that you feel that way. And okay, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not great, but like, okay, it is what it is.
We all deal with
Right.
insecurities in one way or another.
My beef is that so this thing happened, this picture came out, and the initial response was from Kim, and Kim said that the photo was doctored to look worse. Like, Kim took a very interesting stance by saying like,
I did not know that. She said that. I missed that entirely.
I want to read it to you. She literally put
Yeah.
out a fucking thing on Instagram that
Can
basically
you
said
please find
like,
it?
we are aware of the fact that a picture got leaked and it's not only in unflattering lighting, but it has also additionally been doctored to like look worse, blah blah blah, like all that kind of shit. And we know that that is no longer true because Khloe has come out and said that it was just like a really unflattering lighting angle, whatever.
Which, can we just say, it is not an unflattering photo. She looks amazing. Her body is
The
incredible.
fact that her
She
stomach is
looks
that fucking flat after having a baby is mind blowing to me.
she looks great. I cannot imagine looking at a photo. I don't even want to dig into how deep seated that insecurity is for her. But then on the same hand, like your entire family, like fully causes that level of insecurity in lots and lots and lots of people in an unrealistic beauty standard
Well, that's what's
because
kind of
of the
crazy.
amount of work.
It's like I remember reading somewhere, I think it's probably on a Reddit, like discussing it or something. I love the Instagram reality or like the Instagram versus reality
Oh,
Reddit.
yeah, same.
Um,
So good.
and I feel like a lot of people were talking about this. And so Chloe's response was to, like, that was Kim's response, was to like
Yeah.
outright lie about it.
Yeah.
Which was
Which, I
weird
mean,
to me.
fucking crazy.
Yeah. Because you could tell that it wasn't doctored. Like, that is what a person looks like. So, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she just looked like a normal girl standing on, I mean, a really ripped normal girl.
But what was crazy is that, so Chloe's next move was to like start posting these pictures or like posting these videos. And like, unfortunately for her, and this is the part that doesn't compute with me. And like, this is kind of how I felt about like when Kylie was very obviously had lip injections and like maintained that she
Yes.
didn't. Like, literally, who cares? Like, we why are you lying to us? Like, literally, why? Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Chloe's like posting like, this is what my body looks like unedited and unfiltered. And in the video, you can see the filter glitching. Like, it's still a fucking
Yes.
filtered video. So like, what? But even if it wasn't a filtered video, what was even crazier is like her in the mirror when she was like topless, like holding her tits, like turning and stuff like that. Like, to me, while still filtered, that is the body in the picture. It doesn't
Yeah.
look different to me. Like, it looks like the
No.
same body in different lighting. So I don't really know what she was trying to like
Yeah. And maybe
prove.
like slightly more flexed versus like slightly less flexed, but
Right.
same body, 100%.
I like looked at it and I was like, I'm like, okay, like this is where her waist is, like this is where her hips are, like this is her shape in this like still filtered video. They are the same. They're the same
Yeah.
body.
Well, I mean, I will say that filtered video, you could see her waist glitch in and
Glitching.
glitch out.
But
But
I know.
on the unfiltered part, the body was
It's you
that
can
was fucking
see.
crazy.
You
That
can,
whole thing was so crazy.
and I understand like having your own demons, right? And like we were saying earlier, like
Yeah.
you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. Like you need to be good before you're good and all that kind of shit. So if that's something that she's really dealing with, I too feel for her because of the level of craziness that not craziness. I don't mean craziness, but like the level of like stuff that must be flying around your head, like the speed at which those insecurities must be moving inside your
Yeah.
brain. I
Yeah.
truly feel for her and like empathize and stuff, but like I don't get like the choice of that being your battle. Like I don't
Yeah.
I doesn't compute with me.
I I also have a bit of a grudge against like the lack of transparency around their body modifications. Like by all means, Chloe, rack the shit out of the body you got. We know you hit the gym, girl. We see you. We see you hitting the gym, but like don't sit here and tell me you grew that ass on your own. Don't don't fucking you are doing a disservice to every woman everywhere. Like there's so many layers to her insecurity that it's actually baffling because it's like not only are you like clearly you want to be seen in this perfectly posed perfectly edited light, which cool,
Don't we
okay,
all?
I mean
Don't
not
we all
cool
wish
but
that we
yeah.
had that luxury?
But then to act like you are like some self-made person and like you have very clearly had a lot of work done, not even just on your body, but also on your face. And then on top of that, to push a level of like um skinny teas and revenge body and all this other like anti positivity shit that girls just have to absorb. People, not even just girls, people have to just absorb all the time. And it's like, you don't, there's so many layers to like the fucked upness of what the Kardashians have done in that sense that I can't even.
The frustration that I feel, I have a level of distaste for Kylie for like a bunch of different reasons. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't. I and that this has a lot to do with it. Like I think it's crazy to me that like you go through all of this effort to look so perfect and like whatever modifications you've had done and like you still have to edit your pictures and like my biggest annoyance specifically with Kylie is that we know Kylie's like uber rich, right? Like Kylie's stupid fucking rich. I don't for a
Yeah.
second think that Kylie's editing her own pictures. I kind of hope that she is, but I don't think
Yeah.
like
Can you
the
imagine
only
her with like Facetune in her own house?
I'm assuming that it must be her because some of them are so fucking obvious and like so like there was
Yeah.
I used to post them on my Instagram stories. I'd be like her there's literally a chunk missing out of her fucking hip. Like literally her jean. There was a picture where like it was her jeans across her hip and then a giant ass V of like couch. Like just like nothing and then her like hip picked back up. Like so obviously edited that like so I don't, did Stormy edit it? Like I don't know. Like how did you write? How
Yeah.
did this?
The baby did it.
Yeah, like how did this happen? How did this like get the green light to go up? Like it's so
Yeah.
painful. And like
You
if
think
you're
she'd
not
hire some really top-notch designer to do it, like a
that's
photo
what I'm
editor?
saying though. Like you can afford an editor that's like actually going to edit and not give you eight toes or like not make your arms like crazy wingspan. Um so that's my annoyance with Kylie. And like Kylie does it more often than anybody. Like her editing is I'm curious to see what her body looks like in real life because I know it doesn't look like that. I don't care how many videos she posts. Like I know that she doesn't look like that. Um, but my biggest frustration out of all of them, all five of those women, all five of the sisters, is fucking Kendall. The level at which Kendall edits her pictures pisses me off
Yeah.
because
Which you almost don't realize because she's the natural one. So you're like, oh, that must be what she really looks like, but it's not.
and it's infuriating because it's like you that and I guess okay, I've unpacked this I think in the last 30 seconds. I think what I hate about it is the fact that like they know that they can get away with it. Like they don't give a fuck about lying to the general public because they know that like so what? Like no one's going to
Yeah.
fucking care.
I mean, we all do. Like, we all do. We all don't care. Well, we care, but you know what I mean? Like, they get
What are we
away
going
with
to do
it,
about it? Yeah, like literally what are we going to do about it? Nothing. There's nothing to do.
honestly.
But yeah, I think that that's what it is. It's just like I look at it and I had a conversation with someone recently where I don't it's you can't argue that they're not like attractive women. Like they're obviously all really beautiful women.
I mean, they are, and they have been since they were born.
Right, like for forever, before everything.
Yeah,
And that's why it's one of those things where it's like I think Kim is the same where I don't think I've ever seen Kim without a filter on her face.
probably not. I just saw those. It was on the Instagram reality subreddit where it was like pictures of her in the show, and then pictures of her in like a Skims
Was
campaign,
it the
and
one
she looks
of
like
her with the gray biker shorts in the show where she like
ye-
had like a bump?
yeah, like she actually, her
Yeah.
stomach
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
perfectly flat, and her ass looks like she's wearing a dirty diaper, kind of.
We'll wrap it up soon.
Okay,
Well, that's
I'm
what's
like,
so
I'm at
weird is, like,
10%.
okay. Like I think it's so bizarre because like you said, like people see them in real life. Like I don't understand how her ass
Yeah,
got that big to begin with. We know it was modified, it's clear. But like why did you want to go so big knowing that that's what it would look like? Like I actually don't get cuz like that's what you look like now. You don't look the way that you look in
yeah.
Instagram pictures. Like
No, and it's like you did at some point. There was like a middle ground where she looked like perfect,
her
and then it's like you went too far.
her ass before. Like her ass like
Yeah.
at the beginning of the show that was still like a huge ass for her
What
legs,
was
but
the
it was
photo
still like
shoot with which she dated the football player, Reggie, whatever his name
yeah.
was, and there was a photo shoot, and her ass was like, I mean, I don't, it might have been her real butt at the time, but fuck, dude, she was
I
so
think it
hot.
was. I think it was at the real time, and then it literally was like how ironic, but like the Keeping Up with the Joneses. Like, I think that she had to. People expect me to have this huge butt, and then like it fuck. You know,
Yeah,
you
it
know what I'm
does fuck with your
saying.
head for sure. Yeah, this has been a good one, Jess.
I think so too. I had a good time. I love chatting with you.
Always a blast.
I like these
When
little
am I coming back?
bonding sessions whenever you want. You know my schedule. I'll make time for
Yeah,
you whenever.
yeah. The people love Megan, you say,
The
so
people do love Megan. I'm telling you, this is still my episodes with you are still my most listened to
that's so
across
funny.
the board.
I'm
We just got to get people
love
over
it.
to the YouTube because I want to eventually get that AdSense money. I want that YouTube money.
I'm gonna start sending them there. Link in bio.
Swipe up. Just kidding. I don't have 10,000 followers.
What if we did get swipe up? That'd be sick.
Hey everyone. Tell your friends to follow me. I only want enough followers to get a swipe up. Thank you. I don't care about anything else.
On the average bear account or on your personal account?
Average bear. I don't know what I would put. I don't know what I would swipe up to on my personal account. I don't
That's fair.
I don't know.
Everyone follow the average bear on Instagram.
Thank you. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. I have 5 reviews on iTunes and they're all 5 stars. So
Hell yeah,
yeah,
bitch.
all 5.
And it's like your mom, your dad.
Probably. Like I don't even know. I'm convinced that one of them is my dad. My demographic, our demo is like fucking wild. There's like the only age group that I don't have is like 0 to 15 and then 60 plus.
Okay.
I've got numbers in
She's
every.
a well-rounded queen.
What can I say? The people love me. Thank you.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
But hey, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I love you, and we will talk very soon.
I love you too.